What's good, everybody? What's going on, man? It's Stephen Qualls II, aka Mr. Qualified. It's your boy, and we are back for another episode of the Right Quality Podcast. Friends, co-hosts, please remind the people of who you are. And Miguel, get it right. If you're gonna do it, get it right.
Ashley.
Okay, Ashley Wright the first.
Ganker.
Let's see Miguel do a trick.
Got it. Anyways, yeah, he said my name. The lob is off today. The lob is off. I fasted. I don't know what it is to eat.
Oh,
Just
okay.
out the open in minutes to have an unhinged comment like that is insane.
Why am I fasting at 1:35? Who knows?
Crying.
Yeah, we're definitely recording at 1:35 a.m. for sure.
Talk about my weight.
Yeah, you throwing bad lobs with Chris Paul being your favorite player is actually a disgrace. Should be a shame.
It's popcorn. Like I said, I forgot what it is to eat. What is this process?
All right. Anyway, man, we are going to jump right into it. We are finally in the thick of things. Into the thick of it. We are into the thick of things for the NBA season. As Ashley would say, things are getting juicy, very juicy. For a guy like me, I'm into the numbers, so I'm watching the standings every day. Partially because I'm trying to see the Bucks make sure they get that top 4 seed. But nonetheless, I'm paying attention to all the standings, and we'll get to that a little bit later. But the first thing I think we should dive into is something that has came up in the last couple of weeks or so. Gail, we actually touched on this a while back in one of the earlier episodes, but the face of the NBA. It's like this discussion that like it's not really a discussion, but it becomes a discussion. And I think a lot of this has to do with the fact that the big three of the NBA, you know, LeBron, KD, Steph, obviously like their eras are ending soon. Like they're still obviously playing at a high level, but they at some point will no longer be the face. And I think the media, fans, whatever the case may be, bless you, sorry. The media, the fans, whatever the case may be, are trying to find somebody else to be that face. Hence, we've had the comments from Anthony Edwards. We also had the comments from LeBron that seem to stir up a bit more controversy for whatever reason. Maybe because LeBron. But you all's thoughts on this idea of the face of the NBA and how the conversation has been around it in the last couple of seasons?
I think this is a good problem to have. Like, who's the face? Who's the face? And there's so many people to choose from. But like for the first time in history, nobody wants to be the face of the league. Like, and it's kind of interesting because it seems like it's stemming from just the desire to go out and win for your team. Literally, it seems like that's what the goal is for the people that are in the discussion and how they're shying away from it. If anyone, I think, were to truly have the desire, I think it's Jason Tatum based on his recent comments on like, if you did a blind test and you stacked up my resume, you would be basically more appreciative of the things that I've accomplished. And he has a good point. And maybe, you know, it was said in regards to being the face. Maybe it was said in regards to fans having a different outlook on him. But it interests me because no one is ready to step into that spotlight. And for NBA players to be so egotistical at times, it's like, what's keeping you from wanting that title, I guess?
Definitely a new era for sure. Gail?
And what Ashley said, good problem. You know, we're in like a faceless NBA. If we were to say that, I think we're playing for like what Ashley said, teams, and it's become a world game in countries. So I think different places have their guy, different places have who they support, and there's so many stars from different locations that it's easy for people to be all for Giannis. It's easy for people to be all for Jokic. Shea has all of Canada. You know, so I think this is where the game is going, where it's becoming ever global. There's so many people to watch, so many guys to craft your game after. I don't think it's this one shoe fits all, a la MJ, in terms of like this is who I need to be the GOAT. This is who I need to be the GOAT, because like games are looking so dynamic now. It's going to look like something else. It's Wemby when he's healthy. Sorry, Jason. We're in this transition from true GOAT, Bron. I think there was that talk of like KD for a little bit, Steph for a little bit. But I think it was truly like Bron, Giannis, Jokic. Now we're kind of like touching on Ant for a second, and then it's going to be Wemby and Shea, probably. Not Shea saying that he will be the face, but like touching on Ant and Shea being like those co-stars like Jokic and Giannis have been, and then, you know, goodbye talk. And I think for Tatum, it's like great hooper. I don't think he's wrong about that, but it's just like he's just like I said earlier. It's like it's hard to be the face when like he's on a faceless team, where it's like Jalen Brown got your Finals MVP. So like if you're going to be the guy or the face, then you have to be the definitive one on your team. And it's like he is. It's one A, one B, but sometimes it flip flops. And I don't think it's anything that's like a knock towards Jason, even though I've probably talked crazy about him in the past. But like Oralist Finals that some sort have said, and no real narrative that like pushed like, oh yeah, big struggle. It's like they've always been solid for a minute, and like he's always like he was a good rookie coming in. I think there was that talk when he boomed on Bron where it's like he got me, he got me, and like, it was looking like him. And then there was just like too long of a seasoning period. I don't think people really appreciate the grind that it takes to get there, which it definitely was. But it's like he's kind of in a good situation. Boston has been perennially one of the best franchises ever. You know, granted, they struggled when they had Kyrie and other pieces, and they did it on their own. But once again, talking about like a super team that they put together last year, where it's like that's hard to build that narrative right there.
Yeah, no, a lot of great points from you both. Gail, to your point first, I think you made a great point with how global the game is. I think the face of the NBA is no longer the conversation that it was before, like when Bron took it over, as he said in his second
year. About the media back then, it was just like all you had was the NBA. All you had, I mean, granted, that's what you have now, but it's like the stars are the stars from where they are now. It's like the guy, MJ, everyone else is secondary. Now it's like it's so much more even.
Yeah, the parity in the league for sure, I think, is a large reason why, whether it's being a faceless league or whether it's just having your bevy of options to choose from, like, is a good problem. Ashley, to your point of why guys don't want it, I think that goes to the conversation that a lot of people were having in regards to how the media now covers the league. You already have a certain expectation if you're the star or leader, you know, of a team. You already have the expectation if you're considered to be a top 10, 15 guy. So there's expectations coming from all these different areas. You throw being the face of the league into that, and all of a sudden now there's no room for error. Like there's no cushion. There is no way for you to be flawed, because the face of the league cannot be flawed, essentially. Which, well, flaws. Well, no, I'm saying like, but the way the media covers it, there's no separation now. There's no real separation between player and person, because if something happens personally, and that's not to say that depending on what the circumstances are, that you should separate it, right? Like if a player is a terrible person, they're a terrible person, right? But I think that line gets told, you know, it's a tough line to toe now because of the way the league and athletes in general are covered. And it's like, what is the face? Is the face the best talent? Is the face the best winner? Is the face the best mix of like personality and all these things? I think when Bron said that he was the face, I think Bron was just this phenom that actually lived up to the hype, which at the time, obviously, we hadn't seen. And we've seen a few phenoms since. I think the biggest one probably, as we talked about before, was Zion, but didn't live up to the hype. And now we have Wemby, who's lived up to the hype and has all the other intangibles that a LeBron did, which is why I think we're all saying right now it's clearly Wemby. But like also that combination of what makes somebody the face, I think has widened and expanded, you know, as we've seen different talents come into the league and as time has just went on. So yeah, a lot of different factors, but I think the discourse is starting to toe the line of being excessive, unnecessary, and I think it is starting to have a negative effect on players in general and how they are feeling about the league outside of just playing the game that they love. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
I had my hand up for a second because I was also going to say probably like the monetary benefit of being the guy, where it's like not that you couldn't get like a shoe deal or some money off of advertisements back in the day being one of the others, but MJ's MJ, Jordans are Jordans. Bron is going to sell bronze because he's LeBron. KD, right, the next one up on there. Steph got a Billy, so it's like, what's really the push for being the guy for the league? You have your face. It is what it is. You're going to make your paper if you're one of the bigger names, anyways. I don't think anyone is really clamoring to be the one. As long as you're one of the ones, is good enough.
That's a really good point. And I think that really answers my question as to why guys aren't truly vying to be that number one guy, face of the league. But it's like, can you truly be the face if you don't have a championship? Gil, you mentioned Shea, you mentioned Wemby, and it's like, okay, yeah, great talent, but they're not winners right now. Or is the NBA even open to having an international player as the face, given all the international basketball talk? So it's very interesting, and it's a lot that we could unpack there. But
Yeah, yeah. I mean, closing out with that, those are two really good points. I think it would be really interesting to hear from a business standpoint from the league how they feel about the international player being the face, because it's like it's kind of hard when if you look at the top 10, half damn near are international players, right? So arguably, and your top three, at least from our list that we did, are international. So
You can say top four.
top four, yeah, top four. You're right. Top four
literally.
are international. So in essence, you're face of the league already. If you're not just going with the tradition and history of Bron, the current face is more than likely international. But we've talked about how the game is so global anyway. That shouldn't necessarily be a bad thing. But also to the point of, actually, what was that first, before the point of like an international guy, what was that first point you made?
Being a winner.
Being a winner. I don't think that the league would do that because Bron was the face of the league well before he got to Miami. before he touched and sniffed the Larry O'Brien. So, but I think it comes, but I do think that winning plays a larger role now than it did then. I think LeBron was scrutinized at the level that he was because he was LeBron, right? But I think before LeBron, really in that era, I mean, all the greats went through that, right? But I just don't think the conversation became the way it is now. Like, it's one thing to hold the greats to that standard, but now we looking at players like, the Shays, the Ants, I would say Luke has put himself in a space where he's held to a certain standard and expectation. But you got certain players where it's like, it's not common for players to be in year 4, year 5, winning championships, going to back-to-back finals, going to 2 finals in 3 years. Like, that's not necessarily common. But I think now we're looking at it where as soon as a player starts to reach a certain echelon, now it's like, oh, well, if you aren't winning, we can't put you in a certain conversation. And I do think that being able to play winning basketball, especially as a star, is important. But I think, again, we're towing a thin line where it's like, we already, as we talked about last episode, we already got the idea of ring culture, right? Which can get out of hand depending on the type of fan you're talking to. But if we starting to say that you got to have rings or certain accomplishments to just be the face of a league, like if your talent and personality and markability alone isn't enough to be the face, I'm not saying you got to be like, you ain't won nothing or ever, snipped the playoffs or got out the first round. But like, if you ain't got no chip, you can't be the face of the league. That's a really tough thing.
Is he not the face of the MLB still after he had a 50-50 season?
Wait, who wasn't the face of MLB?
Shohei, like if he loses in the World Series this year, is he still the face of the league?
Right.
Yeah.
It's going to be the biggest talent regardless. It's going to be the most exciting player, and I think that's also why some people don't. fit that bill because they're just not as exciting as, you know, an Anthony Edwards or a Wemby.
That's real. This was not on the docket, and I wasn't going to bring it up, but it's kind of like this convo we having segues right into it. I thought about this idea, and this kind of came from Giannis and the narrative around him this season. What is it about the market of a team that has people trying to make these narratives that all players want or have to play in a big market? Because I mean, money is money. If a team got the bread, they're gonna be able to pay you. Like, so it all depends on the team's, space, like salary space at this point. But
Was it again? Is like what's the reasoning on
like,
that?
why is market? Why do people make it seem like market is so important for players, especially star players? Because you got to think the narrative around Giannis, outside of what he said himself about success and wanting to play winning basketball, a lot of people are saying, "Oh, Giannis should be in this big market. He should go play for New York. He should go
They don't
play."
want to go to OKC or Milwaukee to cover those guys. They want them to be in their backyard where the studio is in LA or in New York and cover it. They're lazy. They don't like to go to small cities and see culture outside of the major three. Personally, I mean, I just think it's just Stephen A. doesn't want to go to Milwaukee during the finals. I mean, you heard it during that finals. God forbid they go to OKC. They're gonna be like, "What the? What? Where are we? What's going on?" Shea wants out immediately. Like they're gonna create every story. They're going to Deshaun Watson him out of there if they can do so. I don't know. The Luka's in LA now. Maybe Dallas wasn't enough. Maybe Vegas is more for them. I have a lot to say about the little market, big market stuff, but I just take it from a standpoint of they don't like to cover these cities. They would rather see those guys on their home teams. Like Stephen A. would love to push rumors like, "Oh, I heard he wants to go to a big market like New York." For what other reason other than you like New York?
Yeah,
Bill Simmons, Boston. Like it's all there. Like all the main coverage comes from those cities. Like I'm a beat writer from LA. I'm a beat writer from New York. They'll push any inkling of like, "Oh, he's lost 5 straight seasons." The Lakers are like looking to make a push. Shut up. Been trying for a decade to get Giannis. If you get him by now, go crazy. But like, shut up. Sorry.
the Giannis struck a nerve. Ashley, any thoughts on that, or is it just kind of more the same? I mean, it don't have to be a super in depth thing, but
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. I think it's laziness. And like you said, money, marketability, having these players right in the backyard. So if you need to shoot a Gatorade commercial, you just go across the street. Like it's just being accessible.
Yeah. It's like for the NBA, you would think that this is a great thing that like teams that go to cities that didn't think that they can compete or that guys would want to stay there because they would want to leave. But then there's just been always just a push to get guys elsewhere, like from small market to big. And there's never been a push like, "Oh, this guy really wants to go to San Antonio." Where's that rumor been ever? Where's the rumor that someone's want to go to Charlotte? Like give me real information that this guy like. There's been some times where it's like, he wants to go to Milwaukee because like we win now. But it's like other than that, when has a guy ever been pushed to any one of those markets? Who get pushed to Toronto to die before Kawhi went there and did what he did? But
that's super real. I mean, I think that we've talked about it multiple times, but the parity in the league is a good thing, and I think it's also a great thing for all markets involved. Like you look at a city like Detroit, like the Pistons are trending upward, and the minute they actually get good and in an ideal world start contending, like
might revive the city of Detroit.
I'm saying, but Detroit isn't considered, I think, a large market. It probably is one of the higher mid tiers out of the cities in the league, but that's not considered a major market, so
My Detroit fans, protect yourself. Don't let them gentrify you like they did the Bucks.
They're gonna get gentrified.
Please. You could. I mean, not even the city, the team. Find a way from the inside out. Find a way to keep LiAngelo Ball performing there. Find a way to get Babytron and V's on stage. Do not lose that culture that you have. It's happening here. Shame.
No, they just hired. They're not being gentrified. They just hired a really nice hire in their.
Milwaukee Code Red, God help us, please.
But
Send
I do
some.
feel like the city itself will be.
Depending on what all comes their way, it could happen to the city
Once
soon.
the environmental code, the environmental collapse, the coast, we're on prime market. Steve, we'll have you up here. Anyone that's like scared, don't worry about that. No need to buy land yet.
So I
No,
don't need to buy land yet.
let us
He's
hold.
been asking you to come back to Milwaukee, like
He,
for
yeah,
her.
he, yeah, he's been on this kick for like it's been coming out the last month, dog.
Tornado Valley, you guys are pretty close to Tornado Valley now. Am I mistaken in that?
I'd say so.
I drove down there. I remember those gas stations. They were hit by something.
Gil.
Something. And that lower southern portion of Missouri, there had to be a tornado somewhere through a couple of those.
Yeah, man. Yeah, no, the lower part is it's a little different for sure.
I'm not wrong. Okay, I thought they were just beat, but good. I'm glad it was something.
Right.
No knock to any lower part of Missouri. Shouts out to all the viewers in the lower part of Missouri. Rock with you.
Name a lower part city.
Southern St. Louis.
Southern St. Louis is crazy.
That's hilarious.
What did Nelly and Murphy Lee definitely rapped about something in Missouri down there? One of the cities.
It was just St. Louis. I don't think they rap too much about anything.
They had to say a county, a street.
Yeah, maybe.
They rapped about the bunch. They were in. There was something. I'm gonna do my homework. I'm gonna listen to the Saint Lunatics tonight and report back.
Anyway, but no, okay. So moving on from those conversations, man, the injury bug has started again in the league. First and foremost, the Jalen Suggs injury is a really tough one.
I'm still half mast on the glasses.
No, it's okay. Gail, we need Gail back. We need full Gail back.
Is that
Yeah, no, Miguel.
Yeah.
Miguel. I'm sorry. Talk about Jalen Suggs. But no, I think that's a really tough injury for the Magic, who have obviously been dealt injury blows all season. But you finally get Paolo back, you finally get Franz back quicker, than I think people expected. And then Suggs goes out, and then at first they weren't sure. They thought he might try to return, but he's now out indefinitely with the knee injury. And it hurt an Orlando team that one still has the best defense in the league, which is crazy. But second, they've plummeted, they've plummeted in the standings. And obviously, I think without Suggs, they're just not the competitive team that they would have been, if at full strength. Also got to remember they lost Mo Wagner as well to an ACL this season. So just a really hard blow for them. But outlook for the Magic now, they're kind of well entrenched in the East play-in, which leaves a lot to be desired. But any outlook for them? Can they make it out the play-in? Is it worth it for them to make it out the play-in this year, if we're being honest?
They can. Like, obviously, I would still go Orlando over the Bulls. I would still go Orlando over the Heat. I think I would be a little scared of what the Hawks could do. So I think they have a good shot. But beyond that, I don't think it's fair to even bestow any expectations on them.
Yeah, I wasn't even saying why in terms of like why you would choose that, but yeah, for them, why would you? What is to get bounced? Like, get a good draft pick.
They're not gonna tank that far, Gail.
Yeah. What?
They're not gonna tank that far. I don't know if they'll get a lottery, not a high one.
To get a solid body down there. I mean, as a Bucks fan who competed for that 8 seed for a decade and a half to get shellacked by the Heat, what was the purpose? To get Joe Alexander, to get Yijian Leon, to get name player here that we drafted within. Man, I would. We had the number 1 pick. We picked Andrew Bogut and Chris Paul's in that draft. God, imagine.
Well, okay. In fairness,
we did have
in fairness, we did.
TJ Ford the GOAT had a dream about him for some reason. He was in that commercial with Melo.
That's crazy.
I was stepping on glass. There was TJ. We have to Google that one. That's
yeah, I was gonna say we should look up what that means.
But I digress. Nightmares. I'm telling you, the Omen's coming. I'm getting all these bad Bucks dreams. But we're gonna get that ring. Second injury. Is this the time?
It's the time. It's the time.
I'm sorry. Because I remember the talks about when we were having like, is Kyrie this, is Kyrie that? Like, who is he as a top whatever point guard ever? So much clarity when this injury happened. He is one of them ones. This is a top one, that boy nice type of guy. It's like him and KD. They're like neck and neck for pound best talent. Full stop. I've said, he hasn't been a leader at his teams. He's not a top 5 PG, XYZ. I could see it. I argued hard about why he wasn't, because points had to be made. Why? Why did Nico Harrison and the Las Vegas Mavericks owners had to do this? Because this is the Omen that they brought on.
It is.
This man has had to play 40 minutes a night since AD, Gafford, and everyone else is gone, and Luka's not there, where you can't just sit and take a couple possessions off. They have this man going 40 a night at 34 in a long career. And what's going to happen? Stupid negligence. Like, we get no Kyrie for no reason because they wanted to ship their guy out for tax purposes, for a tax write-off.
A tax write-off is pretty crazy.
Insane. not that inaccurate, but it's insane.
You are casino owners. What's 300 million to y'all? The house always wins. I seen the streets of Vegas. I know what they're doing.
It sucks because it's like,
and they played
the Mavs feel so storied. It feels like an untouchable franchise that you cannot relocate. And that's exactly what they're trying to do. How dare you trade the superstar and then tell me that as a fan, I have to pay an 8% increase on tickets to come see who? Oh, he's gone. He's gone.
Yeah, this was a competitive thing. We're going to be better for it. Gaslighting.
It's not gonna be good. Yeah, it's not gonna be good. As far as Kyrie specifically, obviously you hate to see him get injured. I think the question now becomes, he's 33, turns 30. No, does he turn 33 this month? I think he turns 33 this month, like this year. But we're talking, maybe recovery's a little bit quicker, like maybe just from the standpoint of they have the technology for it, and you've seen a lot of players be able to come back quicker than that 9 months to 12-month timeline. But even then, at best, you get them for the second half of next season. But where are you with that now? You clearly now have Anthony Davis as your number one option, which I don't know how you feel about that right now. I don't think a lot of teams should feel that confident in him being the number one option. Do you have the room to go get somebody else? And who now wants to come into this situation? To be completely honest, I don't know that many players that will. Hoping for a speedy recovery for Kyrie, but early to mid 30s, you got to have that conversation of what is he going to be like when he comes back. And I don't think that this is it. Like, I'm sure he'll return and play again, but what version of Kyrie is that? And then how long does he have after post-injury? And is that solely with the Mavs now? We don't know. So there's a lot of questions there. But as far as the Mavs outlook for this season, might as well join the Cooper Flag sweepstakes. Might as well go ahead. Same thing Philly doing. Let's be honest. Kyrie's out for the season.
They won't dip that far.
How many teams are we saying about? How many teams are there like they can't?
Okay.
Cash. Who they got? It was Charlotte.
Oh no, you're right. They're
No, but this what
10.
they're 10th right now. And I'm saying in the West specifically, like record wise, I ain't saying they're gonna really drop that low to have that high of a percentage chance at the number one pick. But I mean, with about 20 games left in the season, they're sitting 10th in the West. You got Phoenix somewhat kind of on your heels, but they're playing
You have
inconsistent.
no one on your team.
Portland.
Any
I
of those
mean,
players?
you got teams that have a better chance at fighting for that 10th spot that are going to be more competitive than Dallas will be. So if I'm Dallas, I mean, yeah, you go out and compete, but I'm also saying if you fall a little bit, fall under 500, you know what I'm saying? Try to ensure yourself, if not a late lottery pick, a middle, first round pick, at least to maybe try to get some form of a return for
Like,
this. I would say go for that. If I'm Anthony Davis, honestly, I'm not returning this season. There's truly no point. Gafford, don't worry about it. Lively, don't worry about it. There's literally no point. Everybody rest up, and y'all might as well just prepare and game plan the hell for next season. Because if it go left next season, worse than this season, bye everybody. Everybody getting sent out. It's gonna be a reset like we've never seen before.
investigation of the owners, man. I still cannot believe. Nico Harrison deserves blame, but like these moves don't get made without an owner pulling the trigger.
Oh, absolutely.
Like they need to be thrown out of the league. They need to send that team to the people of Dallas and let that be a co-op. Dallas, I'm so sorry. This is not the worst thing that happened in NBA history to a team, other than
I mean, the turnaround of things happening is pretty crazy. You trade Luka, so then you deal with that, and then you have AD, and it looks like, oh wait, this might make a lot of sense. Then he gets injured first game in typical AD fashion. Lively was already out. Gafford goes out, and I mean, this is literally all within the span of a month. Like this all happened within the span of a month with a week break in between. So not even you probably can't even argue that it had been 10 games of this. You know what I mean? So it's a franchise might be cursed for real. So definitely something to watch out. But yeah, next season is going to be really big for everybody involved in the Mavs organization, in my opinion. We mentioned this last episode, but Embiid has officially been ruled out for the remainder of the season. We kind of talked about it, but I think the question really remains now, depending on what he does, what, if any, which is crazy to even say, career, he may have after this. I think because of what his body has been through, he's more so obviously on the tail end of peak and prime. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see. But again, I reiterate, Philly should shut it down. Philly should absolutely shut everything down this season. I don't think fighting for a play-in, albeit in the East that might be relatively wide open from a play-in standpoint, I don't think you sign up to have to go against Cleveland or Boston in the first round, knowing you're not going to be able to even have a shot in hell in either of those series. So might as well let it be.
You're saying that we shouldn't see play in P?
Oh my gosh.
So moving on to way more important things than that. That is insane. Brian making history once again. 50,000 points regular season and playoffs combined. What more can the man do? What more does the man have to do?
Yeah, come on now. How many did Michael have? How many did that bald gambler have? He's probably gonna go on that Vegas team.
So as much as Stephen A is trying to like recant his take, like ahead of time before he really gets in the doghouse for it, I do think that he has a point. I think a lot of people try to argue. It's not my personal reason, but I think a lot of people try to argue that they try to argue LeBron's longevity against him. They're essentially saying like, oh, he's only reached these numbers. He's only reaching these accomplishments because he's played so long. If X player played as long, he would have done X, Y, Z. And that's a lot of ifs. That's a lot of ifs. That's a lot of shoulda, coulda, wouldas, right?
We saw what was happening. The decline was crazy.
Who's decline? Who's decline?
Well, versus bronze.
First of all, you got to stop disrespecting him and calling him the ball gambler.
Sorry, Vegas Mavericks co-owner Michael Jordan, shoe salesman, big G
Miguel,
wearer.
what I'm trying to figure out is since when? What I'm trying to figure out is since when, since when did you become such a Jordan hater that this is what you refer to him as?
I'm not. I'm just. It's fun. Like I said, Steve, remember off camera, I'm the heel. We got to get some people to buy in that this is a real thing. I love Jordan. I think this player. This dance is a great doc. He very lost. It's like we said, but we have to keep.
You are not a real person, man.
No, sorry, I froze. You see, my lips weren't moving.
You are a simulation.
But yeah, that ball gambler, man, I don't respect him not a lick. All his wins came against plumbers and mailmen. We done with the 90s. Yeah.
No, but in all honesty, though, Bron has a lot more milestones to reach, which is crazy to think about as is, because especially depending on how this season goes with Lakers surging the second in the West. Let's not forget about that. Let's not miss that.
You see that graphic like fine wine, rewatching that game live of his stats 40 versus his MVP season?
Man.
That was an MVP season. He's having better stats outside of points per game by like what 0.4. He has more rebounds, more assists. He's shooting better from three. He's shooting better from the field. He's having 0.4 points less.
Nah, it's pretty ridiculous. And I mean, you gotta think
against him.
The Lakers are doing this. The Lakers are doing this one with better defense than they had with Anthony Davis, which is crazy.
7-game win streak too.
And then two, this is them without a front line, essentially. Like, imagine if they actually are able to make some moves in the offseason and bolster the front line. Like, this is crazy. And
no AR.
Yeah, and I saw an article earlier that kind of spoke to Luka maybe wanting more money than LA might be able to offer, so he might opt out of a player option and potentially test the waters. I don't really see that, not even just from the LA being LA standpoint. I just feel like Luka has even when LeBron retires in an ideal world, Luka will have a relatively decent team around him, and Luka's a player that it's gonna be kind of hard not to build around Luka.
And when Bron leaves, who's that money gonna go to?
Exactly. So I don't think that's really going to be a thing. I say all that to say, LA just kind of hit the reset somehow, some way. They just hit the reset where they don't even really have to rebuild. But if they can just continue to retool, and hey man, sky might end up being the limit, for them for sure. So it's definitely getting crazy out here. But kind of last topic just around the league as I've been thinking, like I said, been trying to watch more games as we get into this home stretch of the season, and just looking at teams, looking at how they look going into playoffs, because obviously that momentum matters. So clearly the Cavs and the Thunder are light years ahead of the rest of the league, not just by record, but their playoff season has been light years ahead of the rest of the league. But neither team is respected nor feared, specifically for the playoffs. And obviously, both have their flaws in that regard. They're relatively young teams. They haven't had the postseason success just yet. And a lot of people are saying, well, until we see this regular season, success translate, we think we can get y'all in a high pressure situation, especially a lot of veteran teams. Can either team break through this season? Have you all seen enough? Do you all trust enough of the sample size and what we know of the players, whether that be the Donovan Mitchell and the Shays, or whether that be the Darius Garland and the J-Dubs, or whether that be the Evan Mobleys and the Chet Holmgrams? Have we seen enough, and do we trust them enough to be the supporting cast necessary for these teams to take that next step and ultimately at least reach their conference finals, if nothing else?
I trust Cleveland. And a lot of it is to do with the comeback they had in Boston last week. Um, Falling, what was it, 3-20 or something?
Yeah,
Or it was
25.
wild.
yeah.
What was it, Miguel?
It was like 25-3.
Yeah. To climb back from that in Boston, and
Mm.
then you have your supporting cast like, your Ty Jerome, he's going crazy. I've seen it happen a lot throughout the season where he adds an added support if Garland isn't having the game he should have. And so I think that they're a little bit deeper in terms of how proven they've been than an OKC. And I like, of course, the names for OKC are bigger names, but if you look at it and you compare, it's like, okay, these come from behind wins, and you shouldn't have to come from behind in the first place. I understand that argument. But the fact is, they are capable of doing it. I don't know if OKC can do that in the second round of the playoffs, in the conference finals. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm crying.
So, do I trust Cleveland because of Donovan Mitchell led teams? No. Can they make it out of their conference? Maybe / no. Refer to player above. OKC. Do I trust the player that leads them? Yes. Shea. Do I trust the team / matchup that they might face in the West? No. Because it is tougher. And I think there's more of a chance that they draw somebody that might have a worse play against. Do they match up well against the Lakers, this new look Lakers? They match up well against Minnesota like last year. I think there's more chance that they see someone that's going to give them a fit as opposed to Cleveland, but I still don't think Cleveland makes it out strictly because, like I said, Donovan led teams in the playoffs. They've gone to a certain point, but it's to a certain point, and I have not seen that yet. I think the city of Cleveland, the team of Cleveland, could, but I don't know. I haven't. He's not like he hasn't played up in the playoffs. Just that like his plateau.
So, well, actually, what was you gonna say before I ask my question?
I was gonna say too, I see Chet getting beat up a lot more than I see a Jared Allen or Evan Mobley in the East.
That's what you
That's
get Hardenstein for, though.
What'd you say?
That's what you get Hardenstein for, though.
He's
I
coming back again,
understand.
right?
I understand. Yeah, I think he is. Isn't he
Back?
back?
He's
He's
back.
He's back. Sorry, it's Chet I was thinking of.
Okay, yeah. Even still with Hardenstein, I trust that front line of Cleveland more than I trust the front court of Oklahoma.
Interesting. Interesting. I never thought about a comparison, but I don't really disagree with that. I think I do like Mobley and Allen more than Chet and Hardenstein. That's close though. I'm not gonna lie. That's extremely close. To your point though, Gail, we talk about Donovan Mitchell led teams, but you also mentioned that it's not really Donovan Mitchell that doesn't rise to the occasion. So
Yeah.
is it that Donovan Mitchell led teams don't get far because he typically doesn't have the help from the supporting cast?
No, I feel like
Be a better leader, like
I think what hinders this team is that even though, when you drop 41, they won that game against the Celtics. I think if it demands for him to play a bigger game, the team of Cleveland misses out. Where it's like he has to be comfortable playing that 20-ish with a couple more assists a game role as opposed to like really hunting his and not getting those guys involved.
so.
I agree. It has to be more of a team basketball outing than, yeah.
He turns up and gets his. It's like, does DG get warmed up like he needs to?
Yeah.
Do those other pieces get the looks that they need so that they can hit that late shot in game where it's probably not going to be down. It's probably going to get out of his hands in some way, shape, or form, and they can find a good look.
Well, I definitely agree. But I feel like he's spoken to and the team has spoken to that being a major difference for them this year. I saw this earlier. Donovan Mitchell was like one of those, like him and I think Shea, like for the usage that they have, they both average maybe like around 30 minutes, like somewhere in there. They're not playing a lot of minutes in the regular season. So one, if when they have to play 5, 6 more minutes in the postseason, shouldn't really be too hard on their legs. But secondly, I think Donovan Mitchell has shown a lot of trust and has empowered a lot of his teammates. Hence why we're talking about a Ty Jerome. Hence why we're talking about Darius Garland being an all-star. Hence why we're talking about the ascension of Evan Mobley, right? So I think the question, I don't think Donovan Mitchell's play will change. If you need 40, he'll give you 40. I think the question is going to be, can DG give you 20 throughout the playoffs? Can Mobley give you 20 and 10 throughout the playoffs?
And
If they
not just
do
the
that,
game.
yeah, if they do that,
Pull an AD like I'm 30-12. I'm 8-8.
yeah, that like see that can't happen. Like DG cannot have single digit points. DG really can't score less than 15, if we being honest. Like that's what
It's
they're gonna need from them on a consistent basis. But I think it'll definitely it's an interesting mix of like these young teams that are ascending that have something to prove because they haven't reached success yet. You have these teams that have had success, whether recent or not as recent, but still within the last 5 years, but are still trying to prove that they're contenders and worthy of being at the mountaintop. I think we're going to enter the playoffs with a lot more teams having something to prove. And not just because, oh, it's the playoffs and competition is higher, but I think there are a lot of teams with like a chip on their shoulder, whether it's those young teams, whether it's these veteran teams like Steph hunting for that fifth ring. Him and Draymond hunting for that fifth ring. Jimmy hunting for his first, right? Bron hunting for that ring. Luca hunting for his first. Jokic hunting for that second ring. Like you got a lot of players that's like it's too wide open for
They
like
all got blood.
you know what I'm saying? So same in the East. Cleveland, Boston's trying to say, last year wasn't a fluke. It wasn't because we had this easy route. Like we can't repeat. We're still that dominant. New York is trying to find themselves, but show themselves to be contenders. Milwaukee's obviously trying to get back. Indiana, Detroit teams are trying to prove themselves. So I think it's going to be a really interesting hunt, come playoff time. But seeding once again is going to matter, and a lot of teams that are kind of like those middling teams have a very tough remaining schedule ahead. So it should be interesting to see how all the seeding and matchups play out for these playoffs. But got something for y'all. Okay. Overall is a 91. Inside scoring is a 72. Outside scoring is an 89. Athleticism is an 82. Playmaking is an 87. Rebounding is a 54. And defending is a 66.
This is a guard.
It is most definitely a guard. Also, for context, if y'all have forgotten, these are the 2K ratings and like levels, whatever you call attributes. And they have to guess the player based off of that.
Is he in the West?
He is not in the West.
Damn. I'm going to tell you what I thought it was after we get it right. Now I got to rethink. 91.
Oh, Brunson.
It is not Brunson. Good guess, though.
See, I thought it was Booker. That's what
It's
I thought
not
it was.
Booker.
Who's built it like
Yeah.
Jalen Brunson or Booker?
Let me see.
Closer to.
That's a great question, Gail. They're closer to Booker than Brunson.
Oh, they're closer to Booker than Brunson, so it's a
It's
shoot.
a 91, and you said a 52 rebounding,
55.
55. Oh, outside shooting and wait, inside layup, 72.
Mm-hmm.
Not Dame because he's finishing on the inside would be better. And he's not the size of Jalen Brunson. Wait, who's the guard that said size 91? I had to go through every team in the East. It's not Paolo. He's way too big. His outside shooting's not that good. His inside's better. It's not Orlando. It's not New York. It's not Milwaukee. It is not Chicago. They don't got anyone that high. It's not.
It wouldn't be Donovan. Is he a 91?
It's not
His,
Donovan. I don't know if he's 91.
his finishing on the inside would be a lot better, I would assume. Not Trey's, not Atlanta.
Yeah, Trey's been or outside scoring, I think would be better.
Not Miami.
Oh, it's actually Trey.
No, it's not.
Oh.
Because he's in Atlanta.
It's not Atlanta.
I was gonna say.
Because like, who else in Atlanta would it be?
Yeah, no. That's Jalen's rating in like a year and a half. But inside's gonna be like a 90. Damn, hold on.
The inside might be a bit misleading though. I wouldn't lean too far into the inside being.
Oh, is it Cade Cunningham?
It is Cade Cunningham.
Here we go. Nice.
And he was my first thought, but I'm like,
Why couldn't
inside would be better than that because I think he's much better.
Yeah.
I thought the Booker build was kind of gonna give it away. Because I was like, it is more of a Booker-esque type of vibe, but yeah.
I couldn't think of Detroit for the life of me. I was going through every team, and I was there's like a couple more.
Gail, I was scared you was gonna get there. I almost said, honestly, he looked like Gail.
That's crazy. Every light skin. I've got every
with hair. Every light skin.
I mean, it's not my fault that it's accurate, brother. I'm sorry.
Is it?
It is kind of like a universal copy and paste.
And if I called you Kenny for real, I'm wrong.
What'd you say?
Honestly, I could see Kenny. I could see Kenny. I could.
Kenny who?
For real. The YouTube basketball talking.
Numbers.
Oh, yeah.
But I'd be wrong.
You wouldn't be wrong because you definitely in this moment, it's kind of giving. It's the hair, bro. The hair is giving Cade, bro.
It's giving Jared. It's giving
both. It's giving both. You called Jared yourself. You called yourself Jared.
Someone at TSA called me that,
and you ran with it.
Right.
I'm back, and I just said someone sounded look like Jared McCann.
No, you ran.
You've done whole skits and clips on this pod.
You never once said, Gail, take your glasses off and act like Jared McCain.
We never told you to call Adam Silver about TikToks, man. We never told you to do that.
It never gave.
Threes because someone said I look like Danny Green. Someone called me Chris Paul pass again.
Now that one's far-fetched. Danny Green is funny.
Danny Green is hilarious. Not necessarily accurate, but hilarious.
Yeah. When I have short hair, you'll say, "Oh my, I see it now."
No.
Yeah, you did like the little.
Bill, I've seen you with short hair.
Yeah. So my roommate was like, "Yeah, you look like Danny Green." They got
your roommates just be roasting you, bro. They don't count. That's not.
I was at Champs. The whole store was like, "Yeah." They put a picture. Like, "Yeah." I'm like, "How?"
See. Oh.
But the next episode, we are gonna be turning our attention to March Madness.
I hate all of you. I see. That's the exact picture they pulled up.
Universal copy paste light skin face.
That's tough.
I'm going
Miguel.
I'm going bald.
Miguel probably gonna go bald by summer.
Please.
My birthday.
Jeez.
People on the pod will hear first.
When is your birthday?
April 25th. People on the pod will hear first. I'm pretty sure it's been taken, but I'm gonna do it better. Steve Harvey birthday. I'm shaving bald. Every person is coming as a multiverse Steve Harvey. I got box top Steve Harvey. I got Miss America Steve Harvey on deck. I will be Ozempic Steve Harvey. There are a couple different ones.
Skinny now? He's skinny now, right?
I'm Ozempic Steve Harvey.
Oh, you're Ozempic, okay.
But someone else is have the card like it's Venezuela, bro. Yeah. I got box top Steve Harvey too. It's coming with the flat top.
Anyway, this has been another episode of the Right Quality Podcast. Again, we will be talking March Madness next episode as things are getting ready to spice up there as well. Conference tournaments are getting started. The big dance will be coming soon. It's going to be lit. We're going to be doing our brackets on this pod. So have fun with us. Send us your brackets. And until then, and until the next episode, we will catch y'all next time.
No.